that should be us.
Cool.
You want to do an intro, Vic, or?
Okay. Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining our live tonight. Yeah, can do. So we have on our live tonight, we've got Nicola, Keisha, and myself, and we are joined by Caroline from the Holistic Canine Science Academy as well, who has kindly offered to come on and speak to everyone about her fantastic courses. She literally does everything as well. I think you've done quite a lot over your career, Caroline, haven't you? Don't know if you'd like to go through everything with us, give us a bit of an all-round introduction to you.
I can. Potted version, because we could be here a while otherwise. I'm for about the last 25 years, I've been interested in canine nutrition and learning about canine nutrition, and nutritional therapy was the original diploma I did about 24 years ago. Now, I worked in a raw feeding kennels, so it was a holiday kennels. And I kind of got there when I was 16, left school. It's all I wanted to do, work with dogs, which ended up being cats as well. And of course ends up being the guardians, because you're working with the guardians as well. And we also bred Pyrenean mountain dogs and Lhasa Apsos, and we took them to Crufts. So I had a lot going on in that job, and all of the show dogs were raw fed. Back then there was hardly anyone you could purchase your raw food from. So Anglian Meat Products used to visit with their big van and their blue and white striped products, and we would weigh out the tripe and things like that, and they had raw meaty bones. So that's kind of how I was introduced to it. And throughout the 20 years I was at that kennel cattery, I saw dogs and cats completely transformed by a switch in diet to fresh food, not just raw, but cooked fresh food even as well, especially for cats. We would do a lot of transitioning for people when they were out sunning themselves in the Maldives. We'd be doing the hard work of transitioning their cat, because they found it quite hard, but they wanted the cat to be on the fresh food.
Wow.
We were very early advocates. I know, it was great. And just to see the changes in the animals, that was as much of an education for me as the actual nutritional therapy course that I actually undertook. I saw skin conditions, completely transform in weeks. There's so many stories, digestive problems, fussy dogs, just so much change really, from not just diet, because we loved homeopathy and we used to introduce homeopathy because it's very safe. Can't really go wrong with homeopathy as such, and the lady that I worked with was qualified in that as well. So we used to also work with Chris Day, the homeopathic vet, because he was fairly near us. Herbs, Dean's herbs. So Dean's was a big brand at the time. And some of the dogs and cats would come in on processed food, and some of the people didn't want to change. So they were happy for us sometimes to use the herbal medicine or the supplements, but they didn't want to switch the diet. So what was the huge education is probably what you can guess what I'm going to say, is that the pets that switched made the biggest changes. And I saw that repeatedly. If only I'd kept data charts, we'd probably have some robust science behind us there. But yeah, so that didn't happen though, because I was having too much fun and I didn't really realise
imagine
now, where we'd need science behind eating fresh food. Isn't it crazy? I mean, Jamie Oliver was not asked for science when he stood up and said kids need fresh food. Nobody said, where's the science?
Madness.
Nobody said, but it's not complete and balanced. Everyone just went, yes, Jamie.
Exactly.
Don't give them sausage rolls. Give them fresh food at school. We all, do you know what I mean? And then it's like a fog comes over for our beloved pets that, well, I love mine as much. I don't have children, to be fair, but if I did have, I'm sure I would love my dog as well, just as much as you love your children. It's like, it's like brain fog. We've been down this marketing route for so long that to break free from what we believe is safe and the norm it's quite hard to do that, I think. It's pretty tough for people. But yeah, so I've gone off on a tangent there. So I ended up, this is supposed to be the potted version. So I left the kennels because I wanted to write a book about dog food. So I wrote a book over about a 6-month period. I did dog sitting, and I put this together. It wasn't a particularly large book, but it was all that I wanted to put in. It was basically everything guardians had asked me about feeding fresh food. So an FAQs of feeding raw, how to do it, what nutrition was in it. While I was studying for nutritional therapy, I had also done the Tellington T-Touch, and I had met Nick Thompson because he was quite early on in his veterinary career then, and he used to come and teach at the Tellington T-Touch events that I went to, because he was quite near there. Anyway, so I'd sent him the book, and he emailed me back and said, this is really great. You know, it's simple, it's easy for people to understand, and even I've learned something. So I was like, great, okay. So he did the forward. I put it out there. No marketing experience particularly, so I just put it out there. And the MD from Nature's Menu, who ironically was also Anglo Meat Products, so I knew them, he actually contacted me and said, I really want you to work for the company. I'd like to make our company much more raw-based and move away from the pouches and the cans. So I ended up working there for almost, just about 2 years, and we ran a campaign, some of you may remember. We were in Hall 5 of Crufts when we first started going to Nature's Menu Crufts, and it was called Raw is Best. It was the Raw is Best campaign. So that was launched with a great guy called Peter Roy, who's got a freeze-dried company now, freeze-dried pet food. He was the sales director, and I was kind of leading the campaign, really, and the MD as well. So that's kind of how I got into it all. So I had all that experience with the animals. I had my qualification as well, and I was just absorbed in it as you do. And I also worked so much with the animals. And then I went into the pet food manufacturing side, and that kind of gave me then that other aspect to it. You know, why do these things happen? What's going on with labeling? You know, if you couldn't push something through the marketing department, what was going on? You know, like, how could we make this nutrition side match up with what the marketing department wanted to write on the packaging? So it was, real education. And I've consulted ever since then. I have to put my dog down, I think. Trouble is, when I do things like this, she wants to jump up on my lap. Down. So, bless her. So, where was I? What bit was I at? Forgotten now.
You're just starting to do the consulting.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I started doing the consultancy, which I've done for quite a few different companies, and also then started working for different pet food companies and set up a clinic with holistic vet Vicky, who's down here in Devon, and a pet food brand, a raw pet food brand, which was great. Introduced fresh food to a lot of local dogs who I still see out for walks, an awful lot. So we've closed the clinic now, and I'm consulting again, and I'm also obviously running this course which you guys have taken the course. It's an official course, the diploma. Yeah. So how did you find the course when you did it?
Yeah. So when we did it, we'd done quite a lot of courses between us over the past few years, and I've been sort of studying it on and off for about 6 years now. And if I'm honest, the content of the courses that I had done just wasn't quite there. There was a lot of outdated information. So when we went in to do the iPet course, I was fully expecting to find outdated information like all the other courses, but everything was so on point. And it even went into the labeling and the UK pet food, or PFMA as it used to be called. So looking at those labeling contents, looking at the different ingredients, and I think one of the big questions we absolutely loved doing, in case you ever remember, was about pregnancy raw feeding, all the way through to sort of weaning. And this was content that we had never covered in the other courses. They'd all been really sort of top level, as I say, outdated as well. So having hardcore facts
quite
in front
basic
of us and
as
being
well,
able to
and
go
obviously
do
compared to the
research and
iPad.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the course was launched a couple of years ago now.
It was just a whole other world. It was a bit scary, but fun.
Scary but enjoyable.
Yes.
So the course
definitely fun.
it was launched a couple of years ago, and it was co-written. I co-wrote it with a vet and Dr. Lisa Hannaby. I don't know if you remember her. She had a doctorate in, I may get it wrong, but I think it was psychology. I think it might have been psychology. And she had an interest in fresh food as well. And she's also incredibly good at finding studies and putting things into like a literature review type thing as well. Really good writer. And between us, we put this course together. And it is the only official course for the layperson, in that sense that this is a course that you are doing that is officially registered with the government, with Ofqual, who are the education side of things within the government, and it means that qualification is yours. So just like if you go to college and do a diploma, when you pass the qualification, that qualification is yours. You don't have to do CPD after it. It's not like you're doing a self-certified course where you need to send in your CPD after to keep your qualification. That qualification is yours. Like if you do a degree, you don't ever need, you can still use the title after your name, but you don't ever even need to be talking about the topic of the degree. So it's a proper qualification. And this is, I think, its beauty really is that it's something that, when you've got that certificate, it means a lot.
Really, really does. We're literally just waiting for ours to come through now. Yeah. Every time the postman comes, I run down to check if it's arrived or not. So, but it is one of those things that, again, you sort of do some of these courses and the content just really isn't there. And with the iPad course, we were constantly books out, researching online, looking at different research papers. We had quite a few study days, didn't we, as well, between us?
Yeah. So that's the one thing I did
intense, but absolutely thoroughly enjoyable.
That's one thing I did like with the iPad, of you having to go away and study, research it yourself, find the answers, and then come back and with your finds, where other courses it's literally like a ticky box. So with iPad, you've got to actually do that research yourself, and you end up into a black hole of everything. So it's good that way.
Yeah, I've also, when you study with myself, you get a load of extra videos and interviews and different things also alongside it, because I've got so many friends within the industry that I've added that in to give a bigger picture, really, beyond the course. So yeah, I like teaching it as well. I don't know if there's a bit of a delay.
I know, quite.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know, obviously, Steph and Yaz and Helena, so many people have all done the course as well, and they've absolutely loved it. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that if you work with dogs at all, this is aimed
I know,
at you, isn't it?
am I still coming through?
You are. I can still hear you, but it's a little bit.
You're currently offering a level 2 as well, Caroline, are you?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the level 2 would be, it's like an introduction that you would take that course if you're not already working with dogs in some way, whereas the level 3, unless you've got a science qualification already, or a dog qualification that maybe that shows you're capable of that level of study. It's not about science necessarily, but it shows you're capable of that level of study. And otherwise you would take the level 2, which is a 2-module, much shorter course. And to be honest, it's easy to do in a few weeks, and then you join the level 3 if you want to. But for most people, they are able to go into the level 3, actually.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I haven't had many people that have had to do level 2 in order to do level 3. But that may be just my audience, people who know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of raw feeding shops, pet shops, I mean, and groomers, lots of groomers I work with as well, breeders, dog fosterers, all dog trainers.
Yeah.
So anyone who works with dogs in that way, dog walkers as well. Yeah, so there's so many professions, isn't there, involved in dogs?
Oh, definitely.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. I'm just looking as well. You've actually just answered my question about the level 2 course, because I was wondering who it was geared to. So that's fantastic that
anyone
if
can
someone was interested, would you sort of recommend that they get in touch with you to see which you...
Yes.
So they could either go straight to level 2 or get in touch and say, which should I do? This is where I'm at.
Yes. So the Canine Holistic Science Academy, that's where the contact form is for the course. Now, as it happens, at the very beginning of October, so in about 10 days, we start the level 3 again. So if you do want to join us, there's still time. We've only got about 10 days, but there's more than enough time to send in the enrolment form and be part of the course if you wanted to, if anyone's watching this and is considering it.
That's brilliant.
Time for people. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
fabulous.
I know. Oh, go on.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Go on.
Is there a delay my end, or I'm sorry, everyone?
There is a delay, but I don't know who specifically it is.
Okay,
sure.
Not to worry. So I'm happy to answer questions if people have got questions about dog nutrition or whatever they might want to know, really.
There's not been anything coming question-wise.
I mean, for me, I have one question. There's nothing there, but I have a cheeky one.
Okay.
Is there a reason that a lot of complete foods use root vegetables instead of other vegetables? So
there's 2 different types of complete, and we need to move away from the word complete on 80-10-10s. It has seriously become a thing, but it's, it's like we call a Hoover because Hoover made the first ones. Then it's a vacuum cleaner. Do you see what I mean? So we've got used to this word, it's complete, just because it's got offal in it and it's this ratio.
Yeah,
so when we talk about complete, really, strictly speaking, if we're going to bring raw to the masses, which is what we would like, we need to in some way be adhering to the policies and the legal sale trading names. So we would use the word complete for something that was able to meet the FEDIAF guidelines of nutrient requirements that they have. Now, because it's fresh food, it's actually quite easy to do with the meat itself without adding bits and pieces, but you do have to add some things to then be within the parameters of those requirements. So this is why they add vegetables, and there's certain vegetables that will give better amounts of certain things, but really to add the vegetables in, they do need to put those in, otherwise you just wouldn't be able to afford that at all. You wouldn't be able to buy it. This is the issue you've got. So to make things just with meat alone, and then maybe super greens, say if they wanted to use super greens, it would be so expensive. Most people quite like to have those in, but I totally see where you're coming from. I'm a DIY, really. I prefer DIY. DIY is the better way, I think, to feed. It's more economical. You're in full control of what you're feeding. You can source it more savvily as well. It's just so much more freedom, but of course it does take more time. So yeah, and also the other thing with root vegetables you've got to remember is they hold well in the manufacturing process. So if you were to put things like kale in, for instance, it would just wilt, and also you wouldn't need it would change the flavor as well quite a lot if you were to put that in. So you need these more vegetables to actually keep that as it would look, and they hold their color. So this was always one of the things that I wasn't so keen on at NM was the peas, but the peas gave some green, and sadly the marketing department always felt that that's what we needed, something that people are looking for. And there's ways, I think there's stages of raw feeding and fresh food feeding as well. So home cooking or DIY, maybe not home cooking, but DIY raw is definitely kind of your end goal, I think. So if people are introduced to feeding
I'd
raw,
love the room to do that.
If people are introduced to feeding raw with a different brand that we may not think is absolutely perfect like a DIY diet is, at least they're still feeding fresh food. So they've made that leap.
Yeah.
I'd love the time to feed DIY more. I just never have enough time. And obviously 3 dogs to DIY for. It's so time consuming.
I think it can be. I think it depends what you feed. Because if you do feed raw meaty bones, it's dead easy. I mean, my dog will have a raw meaty bone in the morning. I defrost it overnight. And this is how long it takes. Open the fridge, get out the box, take out this, give it to the dog runs off, box back in the fridge, shut the door. Like it's that quick.
I did it yesterday with my dog, Husky. She had a turkey leg for over the weekend. It took her 2 days to eat it.
2 days?
It was huge.
Okay, yeah. Oh, because it was so big, not because she was sort of burying it and digging it up. Amazing.
Oh, she floated around and everything anyway, so yeah, it took her 2 days.
Yeah, I know we've got quite a lot of members that do DIY as well. And we've got a few that want to try it, and we always sort of say to people, once you're confident, give it a go. And even if you only try 1 day a week, I think it was Utterly Rawsome sold like DIY in a bag. So I think they've changed it a little bit, but there's still some aspects there. Or just go and get some sort of raw meaty bone, some sort of offal. You can get small packets of, I think Paleo does a mixed species offal, and it's only about 500 gram pack, I think it is. So there's loads of different ways that you can do it, and you don't have to. Obviously, the dream would be a whole room with freezers and stainless steel counters and things. I'd love that. But you don't have to do that. You can just start with 1 day here and there, can't you? And just dabble.
Yeah, I mean, I would switch to at least fresh, lightly cooked if you're going to dabble in raw, because you can then be feeding raw on the days you can and fresh, lightly cooked on the others. I'm kind of an advocate for fresh, lightly cooked, as like that is actually the next best thing to raw. There is no processed food, no matter what the marketing tells you, that is anywhere near raw. There isn't, because the moisture content is vital. The hydration, the lipid hydration and the water hydration. And once those 2 things have been altered, that is a processed food. So you only get that in a fresh, lightly cooked, and obviously you don't heavily cook it because you would change the fats and take loads of water out, or in fresh, in raw. So, fresh, lightly cooked, I think it's harder in a way because you don't have the bone content. So you have to introduce the minerals and what they would get from the bones in a different way. So, but it can be done. It can be done. In fact, at the Natural Dog Expo, we gave away a little book. Katie from the Pet Diet and she's a vet nurse, we gave away a little book that explained how you create a homemade, freshly, lightly cooked diet really easily. So that should be, I think, the go-to if you can't feed raw because you're still worried about the bacteria, which is a concern for people, or you don't have a freezer, or, you know, there's many reasons why they might not want to feed raw immediately. You know, I just think we cannot get away from the fact that processed food is processed food. And we all know that, yes, we have blowouts on pizza sometimes, but we need to be eating fresh food. We all know this. Yeah. So, you know, people say, oh, what's the best processed food? You could even have what you call like a high meat content kibble with really bioavailable nutrients in it, but the dog would still be missing out on huge amounts of nutrient value in terms of the fatty acids, the lipid hydration, water hydration, you know, many other things that you just cannot replace. Once the food is processed, they have gone. And this is, and their loss is the reason why we don't do well as human beings on processed food. So there is no way, without spending loads on supplements, and by that time you may as well have afforded a really high quality DIY raw, you know, that you just can't put those back. So that this idea that there's going to be this magic, lovely food that suddenly comes out that is dry, but as good as raw, you just can't. You just can't. Anyway, that's my soapbox.
We've had Chloe ask any hacks for making DIY easier.
Any hacks for making DIY feeding
easier?
Oh, prep.
Yeah, to make it easier.
God. Very controversial, but have less dogs. But I like to have. I've only got the one dog, but you know what? I don't know. I got it. I think routine. I must have got into a routine at the kennels. I must have done, because we had obviously loads of Pyries and Lhasa Apso. So I think we had 5 Pyries at one go, and then we had litters, and then we had about 7 or 8 Lhasa Apsos. So yeah, I guess I must have just got into a proper routine, mustn't I?
Yeah.
I think routine does help.
Now we've got like phone alarms to remind us to take things out the freezer and things like that. But I would say you really don't need to put loads of veg and fruit. I mean, they're fun, but the nutrients that they supposedly miss out on, that are supposedly lower, which is commonly things like zinc or vitamin E or different fatty acids. The main reason that we consider them lower is because of the FEDIAF nutrient requirements. But actually, they're kind of different. They're actually created for a different type of diet. So they're created because there's fatty acid in the food and things like that. So it's questionable whether actually they do need more of those things. But if they do, you can get those things from super greens. So wheatgrass, chlorella, spirulina, mixing them as well, barley grass. You don't need
grass, beautiful
prepping veg and stuff. Now, if your dog likes that, that's a different matter. So if they really like spinach or they really like broccoli, you know, that's different. Or they're off picking the blackberries in September when they're on their walks. And, you know, I'm not saying don't feed it, but they don't really need it for the nutrients, because you can use these super greens. So I don't know whether that would help at all.
I think that's quite a big one as well, because obviously, in a way, supplementation can become addictive, just like raw feeding can. And I can look on the likes of Instagram and I see bowls filled with powder, and obviously that's sort of taking away what we want to achieve from the raw food. Because if you're feeding a variety and you're getting the meat from different sources, I mean, I admit I do use a lot of farmed meats. That's just my budget, but I do still put some organic aspect into the diet. My guys, neither of them really like fruit and veg. Benji eats anything and everything, but you give him fruit and veg and he looks like he's going to kill you. So I tend to use more supplements than anything, because they just won't have it, but they don't have sort of 10 supplements in a bowl. It's a bit of something here and there. And something like spirulina, massive powerhouse of nutrients. You don't need huge amounts of it, but you also don't need to then add a load of other different things all into that same bowl. And I think sometimes less is more, isn't it, in a way, for the diet?
Yeah,
So
I
getting
mean,
back to those basics.
Yes, yeah, which is what your group is all about, keeping it simple, you know. So I mean, I'm a big fan of eggs. If they can have eggs, don't forget most eggs are chicken. So yeah, they can have those. That gives them lovely things like choline that they might miss out sometimes on. A different way to have amino acids, of course, as well, and dogs really like them. And the shell membrane, really good for them as well. So, you know, bunging on eggs is cool. Quail eggs, my little one likes quite a lot.
I'm lucky, I get quail eggs quite often. I've got quail, so.
Have you actually got quails? Oh, how adorable!
Yeah, chickens, quails. So Vic and Nick get quail eggs off me when we visit.
Oh, you used to have ducks as well.
The ducks are coming back hopefully next year.
Yeah.
So I'll have duck eggs again.
Were they those Indian runner ducks?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, they're great fun. Yeah. So I think, so I would say rotating super greens is really good. So barley grass, wheatgrass, which isn't actual wheat either. It's the enzymatic stage, so it's different. It's not starchy yet or grainy. So then you said spirulina. So I would rotate those if you know, to get any phytonutrients. They don't need veg, but as I said, if they like it, then isn't really an issue. As long as you're not giving loads and loads of it. But you know, so rotating those fatty acid supplements or probiotic supplements or something similar to that, if you wanted to be maintaining. I like Vince the Vet supplements and Dr. Paul Boland's supplements for gut, but these are more sort of maintaining, you know, like if there's an issue, then, or if something's come up for your dog, then you know, you need to be looking differently. But the thing about farming is a big thing now, and we're beginning to realize what's going on with the land that we live on and farm on. I don't think we can ignore it.
Terrifying.
It needs to be regenerated. And what's happened is very similar to what's happening in the seas. So a lot of the sea trawlers, they really damage the bottom of the sea. So then things take a lot longer to regenerate. And this is what's happening with the soils as well. So not only are they using a lot of chemicals, farmers, or they've been led down that route, which makes the soil, the topsoil, it doesn't absorb water very much. So if you're in a very muddy field, this is usually because the soil isn't that healthy, because when you're in a field that's got healthy soil, it doesn't clump together in the same way, because I've walked on them and I've been told this and walked on them and seen this. So, and it drains away better because you've got more of a living ecosystem under the first bit of the soil. So we need that again. So we've got aerated soil, but also they often leave the stumps or the shoots in as well, so they don't just completely ransack the land. They leave bits in. So there's a lot that can be done, and the thing is, it's not like we haven't done it before. We've just moved away from it. So it's not like we need a new way of doing things. We know how to do them. We just need to stop doing what we've been doing for the last 50, 60, 70 years. That's the thing, and go back to how it was before. There's a really good book.
It's weird to say that as well, because my family.
Let me find that book for you. Oh no, I lent it to my
family. Is
to think of the name.
A farming family, and they have the soil.
Yeah. Okay. So are they trying to regenerate? We want our food back, I think, is the name of the book.
Yeah, they're
is it?
We want our food back, right?
I will post it in the comments
now if I can find my pen.
I'll post it in the comments.
If you can, that'd be brilliant.
Loads of wonderful stories. And he talks about that he stumbled across this couple in Dorset that had quite a rundown house, really, but their garden was just amazing and it was flourishing. And they had a pet Daisy the cow that lived there. And yes, they would milk her, but she wasn't destined to be eaten. And her dung, or whatever we want to call it, was used all over the farm, or what they were farming. Just an amazing place. And it was like this cottage garden that just had the most amazing vegetables that were almost, he describes them as almost just popping out the ground. They were so ready to be eaten and just tasted absolutely out of this world, because the nutrients actually create colours in the foods, and they create the tastes in the food. So many of us say, oh, we probably don't now, we're a bit older, all of us, but when we're kids, we're like, oh, we don't like veg, but because it doesn't have a flavour, you know, it's either been cooked out or it wasn't in there in the first place.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot more with it, because
I think that's it.
having the allotment. The mum grows a lot of fruit and veg, so like learning how to like turn the soil over and putting the manure on, and she moves her plots around every year, so everything's not growing in the same plot constantly. So it's amazing learning. Obviously, my daughter like learns with us as well.
Yeah, oh, it sounds great. I want to come to your house.
Anytime.
It sounds so idyllic. I know. I was like reading this book about this Dorset couple, thinking, oh, that's not even that far from where I live. Like, I could go and find them.
Amazing. The work that they can do now, a lot of the farmers are turning back to their old methods that they used to do years ago, before all of the heavy machinery came into play. And that was one of the things that my cousin, he's just took over the farm a few years ago. He wanted to go back to how things were when his granddad was around, whereas his dad had sort of gone overhaul chemicals, so to speak. And heavy industry, and he said, I just want to get back to how it used to be, because he could tell by the potato quality, even he could tell by the meat that came from the animals that were bred on that grass, that it just was lowering in quality. So it's really, really interesting when you read into it. The amount of different projects that are going on across the UK is brilliant, but as you say, everybody can sort of get involved as well and can help. By choosing things like, I think it's Red Tractor Farm meats as well, which I think Mersey Road use a lot of, don't they?
Yeah.
I would really, organic has to be. We have to get more organic, more grass fed, more pasture raised.
Grass finished,
That's what we need. And I mean, it's even worth, you know, if you're feeding intensively farmed meats, whatever diet, you know, whether it's a complete bought, whether it's DIY, it is probably good to support your dog's liver a bit. So again, those super greens, chlorella especially, is really good for removing heavy metals, might have been involved in the farming process, and even things like milk thistle, you know, just to give your dog a bit of support sometimes, to get rid of anything that may be in that intensively farmed process.
Yeah, I think as well, like obviously we've got the our fish guide as well for oily fish. We've tiered it so that a dog that's fed organic diet, whole organic diet, would need less oily fish compared to a dog fed kibble or a farm diet, and it's sort of all staged quite nicely down, depending on the diet majority, shall we say. So that we can try and support the dogs more, that because we're aware that a lot of people are on a budget, especially in the cost of living crisis. The goal is the organic. We'd all love it. I love Natural's organic forage, for example. Adore that stuff. But I can't just feed that solely. Unfortunately, I wish I could. So we're trying to get more and more. And the more brands are coming out with different mixes as well. Obviously, the manufacturers are looking to use more organic produce too, which again is going to help to get it onto the bowls and the boards and into the dogs' diets.
Yeah, well, this is it. And to be honest with you, it's about us demanding it. So if we are eating it more as people, and you know, the grass-fed and pasture-raised is part of it, because the regenerative farming sometimes hasn't got its organic stamp, but it's still that's the way we want to go. So it's kind of, it's not such an obvious thing sometimes to know exactly what's what and what's exactly the best, but the majority of it is intensively farmed, because what's happening is we are choosing to eat ourselves, and obviously the carcass, once it's been stripped of the bits that we want to eat, is then going to the pet food. So if we are demanding more pasture raised, then there's going to be more pasture raised leftovers. Do you see what I mean? To go into the pet food. So it's about us making the change, and for me, that is the biggest part of the deeper you go into understanding what's happening with food. Is it's about us changing. It's not just saying I'm just going to do the best for my dog. This whole thing, hashtag my dogs eat better than I do, it needs to stop, because we are the decision makers, and what happens in the human industry will feed through to what's happening in the dog food industry.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to be making ourselves healthier. I mean, if we asked our dogs, they would want us to be healthier, so that we can go on longer runs and do all these lovely things that they probably want to do that we're not wanting to do. Do you know what I mean? So if we feel better, that supports them. You know, they can actually feel our heart's energies, so they can feel how we feel. You know, and processed food does not serve us emotionally at all. So by us
definitely
healthy as we can be, the dogs will be healthier too. So we can't just be like, oh, we'll do it for them, but you know, that I can see if somebody's like super hard up, like, believe me, I've just been down and bought my dog some bits and pieces from the supermarket because her food wasn't defrosted. So, you know, and I was like, oh, well, I won't buy myself that because I've got to get that for Fusa. So sometimes you do make those decisions, but that's like not an all the time thing, you know, because obviously you love them, so you put them first. But at the same time, you need to have that kind of concept where we are maybe growing some things to eat ourselves to save some pennies then, that we can then use on better quality.
That's the thing, it's great things. I mean, even when it comes to growing, I don't have any grass in my garden. I don't have any soil because we got it all gone for the last dog that we had, because it was horrible soil. So instead, we've now got some raised pots. They had to be raised because Arnie will eat everything otherwise. But we've got pots, and we've just put them all around the garden to grow various herbs, peppers, so easy to grow. Tomatoes, so easy to grow. Anyone can grow them. There's so many sort of educational videos on how to do it, but you don't even need a garden. You can grow so many of these things in your kitchen, on your windowsill. And if it can help, then
that's it. At the moment, I've got a pot of lettuce growing on my kitchen window.
Love that. Yeah.
We just need a video of your allotment all day, every day, Keisha.
We do. You need to be doing some like grow this for your dog type videos.
So you know, got kale and everything as well, and obviously, well,
so I'm just thinking
kale mixed with quail eggs, didn't you?
Who was that? Was that Vicky you was asking? Yeah.
The boys ate it that way. They won't eat fruit and veg without something in it.
Yeah, I think sometimes they
finally ate kale because they had the quail eggs.
Quail and kale together. yeah. This is why another reason I like the super greens, because you can get that in easier.
Yeah.
But we do have somebody
stuff.
from the expo next May that's going to be talking about self-selection of herbs. So this lady, she has her own dog sensory garden. I've known her for years. She's not a well-known name, but her knowledge is fantastic. And she grows all these different herbs for the dog to literally self-select if and when they should want. She's got a few dogs, so I think it's quite a good space. So yeah, like that's super cool, and we can all be doing that as well.
That's absolutely brilliant, and that's leading on to the last thing that we wanted to ask about, which was to hear a little bit about the Dog Expo, if that's okay. We all went last year, and a few of our members did, but we're excited for this year's.
I even brought my 9-year-old.
Oh yes, of course. Oh my goodness, love it. Okay, yeah. So it's in May again. May again next year. So it's basically same weekend, but it's on the 5th, not the 7th. It's a similar format, so same venue, which is in Solihull, Birmingham, so middle of the country again. We've got the speakers obviously talking throughout the day, and some stands there as well, so you can do some natural dog shopping, but the focus is really on the conference and education. So we've got Dr. Brendan Clark is going to be speaking for us this time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting. I'm there now.
I know. He's great. He's great. He can explain anything, like literally the most complex things. To be able to explain. It's really cool. So yeah, he's going to be there. Also, we have got a lady from Pet Biome. So Pet Biome is a microbiomes testing lab. And she had over 14 years, or like 14 to 15 years worth of data on what happens when you feed different foods to dogs, microbiome wise. And even to a degree, she's got horse, cat, and human data as well, but she's got loads of data built on the amount of tests she's done in terms of different foods and what happens when we feed them. And also the microbiome of dogs that have skin allergies versus the microbiome of dogs that are super healthy and things like this. So that is going to be completely fascinating.
That's brilliant.
Carol, her name is. She's coming to talk. Because I think that's vital, really, for us to understand what's going on, because this idea of the internal ecosystem, this is what we need to be recreating in the soil. We're the same. You know, we're not like these separate beings that just happen to be here, and the dogs as well. Like, we live on planet Earth, so everything is about these ecosystems, either within us, on our skin we have an ecosystem, and obviously in the soil we do. Everything really is in its own way. So yeah, dead interesting. And then of course Rita Hogan from the USA.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You're pulling out the big names for this one. This is amazing.
These are just, well, you see, I always go by who would I really like to see. Usually it's like, oh my God, I'm excited. You know, if I get excited by someone, I'm like, right, I'm booking them. That's so cool. So I know I run this course and I've got all kind of this experience in a sense, but I'm still like you. I just can't wait to learn all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm always coming at it from the point of view of what can we learn? What's the next great thing? And who can teach us the next thing? And so that I'm so excited about it. I think that's why it goes so well. You know, because Conor Brady said to me last time on the evening before, oh, I thought you'd be a bag of nerves. I said, oh my God, I said, I can't wait. I said, I'm not nervous at all. I said, I'm just like, you know, want it to be tomorrow already.
It was so good this year. It was brilliant.
I
think, last year's was absolutely incredible. I don't think I've ever slept as much as I have after that, because I was just so taking in all the information, and I wanted to talk to everybody, all the people that were there, not just the speakers as well. There was so many really great relationships built from that event with different manufacturers and different retailers as well that were there, and I got my Fatizo as well for Arnie's knee that I now use on me as well as him. So it's just absolutely amazing event. Really excited for this one now.
I was like kind of a bit blown away about how good it was, you know. I was, and I kind of knew what was going to happen.
I was there with a notebook. She was taking notes all the way through the full day.
Bless.
She absolutely loved it. And I thought, for like a 9-year-old, she sat so well and she loved listening to it. She was blown away. And I think the highlight of her day though was getting to speak to Conor Brady.
Oh, yeah. I think that
she was over the moon to speak to Conor.
Grudging for like selfies with Conor, because poor Conor was like, he couldn't move from the side of his table for ages because everyone's like,
there was just a huge line. We kept sort of standing back, waiting for the queue to die down, and every time we did, another 30 people would just queue up to see him.
It just never died down, did it?
So yeah, I'm going to do a launch party for the tickets
Oh.
this time. So you'll have to like post about it on the group for everyone.
Definitely.
We're gonna have
Oh,
a launch
that'd
party.
be, yeah.
You guys can drop in if you want to. You can just drop into the launch party, just say hi and say why you want to go or whatever. So it's just all different. The speakers will drop in at some point.
I love that.
So it'll be like an evening party. And
Yeah.
we'll have lots of bits and pieces discussed about canine nutrition. People will just drop in when they can. And even me and Stacey will be running it. We won't know who's going to turn up when. So it will literally be, because you know Zoom has the like doorbell sound. It'll be like, oh, who's at the door?
Oh, that would be amazing.
That's going to be super fun anyway, just for that. Yeah, so it's going to be a really good event next year. And the hotel's great, but we will outgrow that hotel. I know we will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know where it's going to be the year after. Have to let the universe decide.
Yeah. Amazing.
So was there any questions?
There's not. The only question that came in on the chat was about the DIY prep.
Oh, okay.
And someone, Nina, I think it was, said there's a movie coming out about to do with soil called Common Ground.
Sounds amazing. Wow.
Don't know where that's coming out to or what, but
good name. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'll have a look into that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to do the course, they just need to contact me.
That has been absolutely fantastic though.
Yeah, and drop the link for the course, like for the website, in the comments along with the book as well, so everyone can kind of find it. Like, well, and watch this back. Obviously, if they can't make the live, they can watch it back later. So yeah, they'll be able to find everything from there.
Yeah, and then the Natural Rock Expo launch will be just on the page, so they can just, if you just want to, like put that up as well.
Yeah.
But that's so exciting. Yeah. So this is a different live for me because I was expecting loads of questions about dog nutrition from your group members. So
everyone's quiet tonight. Everyone's gone shy.
And I didn't know how many people. I didn't know how many people hit your group that were feeding kibble and didn't know how to change or weren't sure to change. Or I'm not really sure with your group, you know, who's on there and
we've
what's
got
happening.
a bit of a mix, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a mix of some
do have
feeding. You were about to say something, Vic.
Sorry, go on, Nick.
I was just saying we've got a bit of a mix of people who feed raw and people who are either new to raw or some that are still feeding they're feeding like a mixed diet in the sense of kibble or wet food with some raw, because we've got that on our guides on how you can do a mixed sort of diet with raw.
Okay. I mean, that's really difficult because the processed food can actually hinder the absorption of fresh food nutrients. So it's actually the most difficult way to feed is to mix the two.
It's a really, really hard one. And we always, like we've got on there about the risks associated with doing it. As well as the fact that you won't see the full benefits of raw feeding either, but because we had such a huge amount of people that were feeling at the wit's end and they needed to do different things for their own budgets, we sort of wanted to make sure that we include everybody. We didn't want to miss anyone out, so we even have some people who feed wholly kibble and they'll just add some fresh food to the bowl. Sort of along the lines of the steamed vegetables and things, or they might add a little bit of a raw meaty bone here and there, for example, as a treat. So we just want to sort of let people know that they don't necessarily have to go out and catch it, kill it, feed it sort of thing. In all honesty, I thought that was raw feeding 6 years ago. I thought I'd have to go into my local woods and find my dog's food. And we wanted to make sure that people felt that they had somewhere they could go to get some good advice. We always recommend bone broth every day. We're obsessed with bone broth.
Yes,
like
definitely.
Eggs again. Eggs are the powerhouse. They sustain life after all. So it's getting some aspects of fresh food into the diet where they can, preferably raw all the way.
Do you know what? I think the thing is, though, it's knowing what to do instead, because the perception is that the processed food is full of nutrition, which it isn't really, because the premix, which will be your vitamins and your minerals, are added as a nutrient supplement, which 9 times out of 10 isn't bioavailable. And then the macronutrients, like the protein, is so heavily processed. The fats are skewed because of the processing. So you're better off, and this isn't an all-encompassing every dog, but these are examples, you're better off having things that cost the same amount as that bag of kibble, things like cooked buckwheat. Tripe is cheap, but you do obviously then have to want to do raw. You know, like you said, your eggs and your fish, that kind of thing. So buckwheat isn't actually a wheat, it's a seed. And you can cook it up and it expands quite a lot. So that would be better than the kibble, and probably cheaper. And oats even sometimes. Some dogs are okay with a bit of oats. I'm not a big fan of grain, but sometimes oats, because it's still better than the kibble. So it's how do we create a bowl of something that is actually nutritious, that means that we don't have to be putting fresh onto kibble. You know, like what? Make your own kibble, basically. That's what I'm talking about. So
which that's the thing. Probably a lot of people could cook something up for less than a bag of kibble.
Yes,
that
totally.
is much more nutritionally complete.
But the perception is that the kibble's got you're chucking on vitamins, but it couldn't be further from the truth, because what you're actually chucking on is something that blocks the absorption of the vitamins from the fresh food. Yeah,
I think that's probably something we need to do on our guides next, is to go down the line of looking at cooked a little bit more to try and help more people make that switch.
That was something that adds to the never ending list.
Yeah.
Every day I add 5 to it.
Well, there's so much to share. There's so much to share about food.
Every day is a school day.
Exactly. Yeah. Even for me, I still love it. Yeah. Okay. I tell you what I've got here that I was going to say I'm happy to give away as a little thank you for listening to this. I've got 2 copies of this. Can you see it? It's the original Honeys. They're brand new. I actually found a box of them at a car boot sale. I was like, what is going on? Having those.
Wow, yeah. I'm going to my car boot more.
I know. Devon car boots. There you go. We're all stuck down here, you see. Which anyway, so I've got 2 of them. So if people want to, you'll have to think of I've just got them to give away, but I haven't actually thought of a way for them to win. So I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay, Nicola, get your thinking hat on. You're the one with the ideas on competition.
Oh God.
Natural feeding handbook. It's all about
something like that. It's really good.
So this has got useful tips. So there we are. Maybe the people that actually wrote comments that were presuming to actually watch, they presumably actually watched this video.
that could actually be a good way, because wasn't there 2 comments put in?
Yeah, 2 comments.
Yeah.
There you go. So everyone in future will be commenting like crazy now.
These secret prizes.
So Chloe and Nina.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. Do you want them to drop you a message, both of those ladies, then, Caroline?
Yeah, and I'll post it off, because it's like letterbox size, so it will be like about 70p to post, so that's fine. I'll just post it. That's cool. Send it off.
What we'll do after the live is we can reply to their comments and say, you've won a book.
Might be watching. Yeah.
Nina's just said thank you, so she's still there.
Yeah, brilliant. Well done for sticking with us as well, Nina. Well done. That's fantastic.
Okay,
we'll direct them onto your Holistic Canine Science website then, Caroline, to be able to find that.
Or the Natural Dog Expo, whatever they want to do, whatever fits better with what they're interested in.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Ooh, I've got
thank you so much.
Sorry, Vicky. I just thought I'd say I've got loads of really good students that are about to qualify that can do consults. So they're doing consults with me. So if people would like to have a consultation, in fact, we could make a little post about it on the group to support their dog, then I can point them in the direction. And because they're case study consults, then they will be like way cheaper.
That would be really, really good, actually, because we get a lot of people who are at the wit's end with things like allergies, for example. And there's only so much that we can do as a free advice group. So having somewhere that we can point them to with people who know what they're talking about and the dog's going to be safe, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. We could easily do another live on allergies.
Oh, amazingly.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other live. Yeah.
A live every day of the week on allergies. Well, it's nice for you to have me on.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've loved it. And I need to go and find my dogs now because they've been quiet.
Oh, that's never a good sign.
With beagles, it is not good when they're quiet. So they're probably eating something. Yeah, it's been fantastic. So thank you very much, Caroline, for your time. I know it was a bit of a whirlwind, whistle-stop tour of what you've done, but you have literally done everything possible in the industry, and I think it's hopefully been beneficial for our members to hear it.
Yeah, well, live on allergies is a hit because there's already getting commented live on allergies with heart emojis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, let's do one.
So we'll book it now for the next 6 years on allergies.
You know what I would say though? Absolutely, before you pay for anything else, get your pet biome test. Honest to goodness, she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And you get a whole rundown of what's going on inside there. You can't see in that leaky gut until it becomes a symptom. I think it's over £100 to get it, but it is well worth it because then you get bespoke supplements that balance your dog's individual microbiome. So there's none of this probiotics and hoping. It's precisely
getting specific.
Yeah,
that's actually really good because that was Pet Bio, was it?
The Carol at Pet Biome. She's the speaker at the expo. Yeah.
I'm going to see if we can add that link into the website on our website as well, because we have a useful links part. So we can see if we can put that on.
Yeah, it's well worth it because you get that bespoke that you just cannot get. Well, I say you cannot get, the body can do it itself, but it needs to be in such good optimum space inside, which you can do with other supplements, and just changing the diet gives it a better chance. But it's like it's a quick way, and it's really good tailored for them.
I can literally think of a few people that could help straight away.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do a thing on allergies because I'm already thinking of loads of other stuff I want to say.
That's brilliant. Thank you. We shall get in touch with a date for that one for you then, Caroline.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Will I just check out then, or are you stopping the live before I do?
I'll end the live just now.
Okay.